Good morning, afternoon, or evening. For the Press Corps, I'm Geoffrey Jennings, and welcome to Roll Call, a look into the regiments that help make up this thing we call Foxhole in their own words. Today, I'm joined by the leadership of the Sapphire Sentinels, known by their SSE tag. Let's go down the list and have everyone introduce themselves and include your positions and general role within the regiment. We'll start with Illuminutter.
Yep, that's correct. Hi, my name is Illuminutter. I'm one of the members of the console. In terms of specific roles, we don't really have too much in the way of specific roles. We all kind of do a bit of everything. Though, I guess if you had to pin one specific thing I do, I'm the one who consistently posts recruitment flyers to the Foxhole official Discord recruitment chat. So, as a result, I'm generally the one who receives most recruitment-related questions from people who are interested. So, I guess that's what I do.
I'm a member of the consoles. I don't do anything, special. I'm just there to make operations, lead them, things like that.
Yeah, so I'm Sam. I'm probably the newest member of the console, so still trying to find my feet. But yeah, as the others have mentioned, I'll give a hand in operations and wherever I'm needed.
I am Squashyhex. I've been console with the clan now for about a year. As the rest of the guys have said, we don't really delegate specific tasks to anyone in particular. But if I had to choose a specialization, I definitely have more of a hand in the logistics than anything else. So, do you like me a truck?
Hello, I am SyWry, and I am also one of the consuls, but also the head administrator of the Discord. I also lead most of the ops and am generally organizing most of the operations we plan.
All right, so you know what, Sapphire Sentinels, SSE, we've got a large group here, one that's been around for a while, although there's been some moments of dormant and some resurgence, but we'll get into that a little bit. But what's the story behind your regiment's name, SSE, Sapphire Sentinels? What's the story there?
So, interesting you say that. For the most part, we are not too sure. That was a name picked a while ago before our resurgence, and we're not certain at this moment in time why the name was picked, but we decided to keep it since it's a pretty nice name, and we all decided that it was pretty interesting that we keep that name.
Yeah, it was already a recognized tag in the game anyway, so we didn't want to go through the process of changing it over or anything.
So then, about when was your regiment's founding? We'll say the official founding, because I know some of it's been some ups and downs in terms of the activity. But when was the official founding?
So our official founding was around December of 2018. Back then, I believe the clan was called 33rd. However, recently, around March 2020 is when we had our resurgence and the founding of the console members that are all here today.
And can you go into so yeah, a lot of talk about the console members. Console, how do you spell that?
That would be spelled Consul.
Okay, so it's like a Roman consul, or however it was said back in.
Exactly.
That's exactly what it is.
It's funny. That's actually more. That's a Roman thing. Those were the leaders of the Republic of Rome, which is usually more of a colonial thing. But this is.
I mean, we picked it for that purpose because the consul, the sort of the new leadership of the Sapphire Sentinels was built around a group. So no one of us rules the Sapphire Sentinels,
Right.
or no one of us is the leader. All five of us share the burden of leadership, and all five of us make decisions and talk things out together, and we all make sure everyone's in agreement before we make any sort of decision. So that's why we decided to go with the name Consul, because we are building more or less of a republic in the leadership.
Yeah, beautiful oligarchy at the top.
I've actually noticed. I'm actually surprised that there's a lot more. I don't want to say completely decentralized, but more so shared power in a lot of the Foxhole regiments. At least the ones maybe I've just been talking to. I was expecting a lot more kind of one-person show. But that's actually quite refreshing to hear, and it's good to see a lot of the communities adopting that. Then again, I have been around on the internet for a while, so maybe just in general people have evolved past that, which is I like that. I very much enjoy that. But I also noticed that the SSC has been made up from members from across the globe. But what nationalities would you say make up the majority of your regiment?
That is correct. We try to allow people from across the globe to be involved, but for the most part, we mostly consist of Europeans and Americans.
A handful of Asians just dotted in here and there.
And in what time zone would you say you mostly operate under? Time zones.
It's
Well,
usually like most to try and hit like as many people as possible. We tend to try and run things in what would be like European evening to like American late morning to afternoon sort of time for our like bigger operations.
Yeah, I think I've noticed that too. Not just for a lot of the Anglo-American groups, but also just in general. I think the highest, if you ever looked at Foxhole stats, the population highs are usually around 3 to 4 p.m. New York time, which is about 9 and 10 British / European time, and that's about when the two overlap, and then that usually makes up the high point. So that's
we're
consistent.
usually we're usually a little bit earlier than that, I would say. So closer to what would be about 12-ish New York time to like
Okay.
6 o'clock like GMT.
Sure. So what would you say is the approximate size of your regiment in total? And by regiment, I mean people who play. It's actually, I should first ask: is it a multi-gaming kind of community? As in, you have specific divisions dedicated to other games, or is it more so? It's mostly centered around Foxhole, and then you just occasionally play other stuff.
so it is mostly centered around Foxhole. We
Okay.
have occasionally played other games as a
Sure.
group. Nothing that's really taken off, however, at the moment. So at the moment, we're mostly focused on Foxhole.
And what's the approximate size of the regiment?
For active members, I think we're approximately 300.
Well, on paper.
Okay. That's
There's
on
two
paper.
questions here. One is the size of our regiment, and according to Discord, roughly 300.
Mm-hmm. But then, like fieldable manpower on a typical high activity day for SSC would probably be.
Yeah, that would be roughly around anywhere between 10 to 16 people. Sometimes we can field a little bit more depending on the operation in the day, but that is a good rough estimate for how much we field on any given operation.
So with
we're quite a casual clan as we pitch ourselves in our recruitment ads normally. So like we don't really expect everyone to attend all the time, and that's definitely reflected in like who turns up to our operation. So we have a lot of members who will like drift in, drift out, drift in, drift out. If you know what I mean.
So then, with about that many people in terms of fieldable manpower and kind of the more casual approach, what are the primary doctrines and styles Sapphire Sentinels tend to follow?
Well, that usually depends on who's leading the operation. Since we have 5 consoles, each member has their own styles and their own likes and dislikes when it comes to Foxhole and their
So you
own
know
play
what?
style.
Let's go through. Let's start from the top again with Illuminutter. If you're in charge of that night, how would you do it? How would you lead? In terms of the doctrines and play style, yeah.
Doctrine and playstyle. Okay, so I have very much a strong preference for armored gameplay. So if I had free reign of any the materials available, I would likely choose armor. In terms of armor, though, I do enjoy some nice heavy armor walls. I particularly like the HCD, even though I know some people might not be as fond of it. Mm-hmm. Though, as many people have found, the Outlaw has proven to be quite good. Generally, I'm more proficient at handling and organizing smaller operations, and I do have a habit. I sometimes get a bit around with larger ones. The issue with the reason this is the case of it, was because until very recently I was in an Asian time zone, and as a result, any operation I hosted would fall in an Asian time zone, and the result would not have very many people participating. So my experience was predominantly in small operations. Though with my recent move to the US, I have been starting to get some experience with larger operations. So I'm still getting my footing and trying to get used to managing so many people.
Yeah, cross-country armor, it looks like. Popo, how would you lead a night?
I would probably do a mishmash of armor and building, some combat engineering maybe. I often ask all the other people and soldiers we have on the op what they want to do, because we often have prepared basically anything. And depending on what they say, I do it with them. The only thing I don't really like is being a partisan, which is not really for me, but I have done logi, building, tank ops, infantry ops, basically everything.
Kind of the long-term game. Pay off in dividends. Shamrock, how about yourself?
Yeah, so for me personally, I do love artillery, and especially the storm cannon. And when we do have the opportunity to be firing those huge things off, I'm love to be the spotter or very much engaged with it. Being one of the newest console, I haven't led too many ops by myself, but I do generally support the other consoles, and yeah, try to give my all in that sense. But yeah, I'd say artillery, and spawning for artillery would be my preferred doctrine when we have the numbers and resources.
Squashy?
Yeah, I don't particularly focus on any one particular thing. I wouldn't say I do a bit of logistics, as I said, so I do enjoy that. But I also like doing artillery, partisaning, bit of anything really. If I were to say that I had a primary doctrine, it was make sure we're having fun. I always want to make sure our guys are enjoying themselves, and if we're trying to do something that's not working out, I'd rather we just dropped it and did something else instead.
SyWry, how about yourself?
I do a lot of stuff and everything. Most of my decisions of what we do is generally decided on the fly. However, I do have a particular preference for armored gameplay and frontline combat engineering. Those are the two specialties that I main in. Though I have recently got into a lot of artillery, gotten pretty skilled at running artillery and organizing large groups of players.
That actually matches with the size of the group. I've found, I'm sure there's exceptions, but I've usually found that the smaller groups like to be more behind the lines, behind in enemy territory. Meanwhile, the larger ones, usually how they get large is that they're on the front line all the time, usually fighting alongside people and recruiting them in kind. So it seems like you got a real combined arms approach with the fire support and the vehicles and a lot of the frontline building. So actually really matches up. So I'm actually going to open up the floor here to all of you instead of doing the one by one thing. And I'm going to ask this question, which is, what would you say is SSE's signature vehicle and signature weapon? Let's actually start with vehicle first. I'll open the floor.
Signature vehicle. Ooh.
Ooh.
Interesting one.
I guess it could be. I'll say you have to. It's possible to say that you don't really have one, but if you had to, what would you say your signature vehicle is?
I would say if there was one vehicle that we'd most been seen in, especially going back, if we're not just talking about this war, because obviously the Outlaws kind of dominated most
Sure.
clans, I imagine. For that, I would have to say the Silverhand. We've definitely spent a lot of time tanking in Silverhands over God knows how many wars.
Though if it ever does come back, I would put it to the battle tank.
Devs, please.
I do adore the battle tank, and I used to main that all the time.
And how about weapon then? How about small arms? What's the signature small arm for SSE?
I personally prefer the carbine. What are your guys' thoughts upon that?
It's a tricky one.
I just prefer your bog standard rifle.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. Before the new long rifles, the Warden rifle, the classic one was my favorite.
It's the Lowcaster, right?
The
Lowcaster, yes.
Yeah.
I would say AT rifles are really great for our people too. Mainly Salty and Gatekeeper are really good with them.
Oh, yeah.
So, but that's not really a small arm, is it? So.
I don't think we really would have like a specific
Sure.
like clan-wide weapon that we would main.
Yeah, it's usually more advanced. I mean, it's actually interesting because in Foxhole specifically, you usually have to work with what you have. If you want your group to have a signature this, you really have to work to make things for that. It's like, okay, if our signature thing is SMGs, I forget the name of it, but with the Warden SMG, then we got to make those SMGs ourselves because we can't always guarantee that they're everywhere. So in that sense, it's kind of interesting asking that question in Foxhole. But moving on from all that, what's any like affiliates, internal subdivisions for the Sentinels, or are you part of a larger group? So are you part of the Warden Unity Hub?
We are a part of the Warden Unity Hub on a small basis. I believe there's a certain amount of players that are involved in the Warden Unity Hub.
Yeah, I mean, like Pop and stuff are quite active in there.
Yes. But for the most part, we don't have any subdivisions. We're mostly our own clan and our own regiment that works with ourselves primarily.
Yeah, we're kind of an ideal like activity level where it's manageable for the amount of leadership we currently have, and then we're not like we were never formed under or alongside anyone else. So
So yeah, no dedicated like this is the dedicated engineering core that we have like a Discord channel specifically for them to do whatever. I know a lot of people really get into that, partially also with the role play, which is really cool. But it seems just keep it simple and
yeah,
keep it
I mean,
open.
like we have like roles in our Discord for like making sure people get like pinged for specific things, and obviously we have like a logistics tab and stuff, but nothing like. We try not to keep it gated because, like as I say, we're quite casual, so we don't want to gate people off from different parts of the game just because they've not like clicked the right roll button or something.
Yeah. So do the Sentinels have any official mottos, symbols, or songs?
Well, I think the only thing we have is the symbol of our clan or our regiment symbol.
Which
Yeah, the emblem.
Yeah.
There's the old Bill adage of we'll just get another tank.
Oh yeah.
How about the SyWry, you shared with me the logo. It's a very ornate logo here. It's very, very nice to look at. It's a shield with the warden symbol. That's pretty self-explanatory. But you've also got this dragon looking over the whole thing. This blue dragon.
Correct.
Can you go into that in terms of just why this was chosen, or is it just look cool, or is there some symbology there?
I have no idea.
Yeah, again, it predates us by a lot.
Gotcha.
Yes, it was there when I had inherited at the Discord as leadership, as the primary leadership position,
Yeah.
and we decided to keep it because it's really good and it looks really good, cool, and it does very much symbolize Sapphire Sentinel.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. There's actually been a number of groups that I've talked to where, they inherit a lot of this symbology, and it's like I don't know. I'm the oldest guy here, or, the longest running, but I'm still like there's the ancients, the long gone ancients who stopped playing the game 3 years ago, and we still keep them around, but they're they're not really interested in Foxhole. So yeah, in that sense, it's actually really cool to see literal generations of groups of members. You can kind of put them into waves sometimes. That's always interesting to see. So you know what? Let's get into some of the more fun questions here. Does your regiment have any traditions? Anything you do before a session or after closing a session, or just something you do out in the field?
Well, at the moment, not really. We're still trying to make our resurgence and trying to rebuild a lot of our lost members and our lost culture. So at the moment, we don't have any traditions that we'd like to do, but we can probably, as we grow, we'll get them eventually.
Yeah.
So we're still developing.
We don't want to like make anything too artificially, with
Yes.
these things, you kind of want them to just emerge. The only one I can really think of, and I don't know that it's really come up that often, was had a wee thing of whenever someone gets promoted to our like top rank in our Discord, we'd put them in front of a firing line, but we haven't had anyone for that in a little while.
That's funny. SyWry, I liked how you said, I don't even know if you meant it to say it this way, but you said our lost culture. I just enjoyed that phrasing.
It is a mysterious history.
I mean, I think that's cool that your regiment has that. There's a bunch popping up now. But
Scroll back and the stuff you find, like, oh, it's amazing.
I mean, it's true. I mean, most of what we know about our past was from a few weeks ago, and we just had to just scroll all the way back up in our long archive channels and see what we can find. So, other than just the messages from the old leadership, we don't really know any reasons for why anything specific was done.
Like, we don't even know. Like, we have like custom made emojis and stuff that we have no idea who drew them.
You're making this sound cooler. All of it is like this is our lost past. We don't know what the symbology means. You could make a whole university thesis out of this emoji here, and we'll find out what it means. Why was it included in the?
Make a cult out of this.
So moving on then. What do you think your regiment is known for? How do you think when other people see the SSE tag and they see the Sentinels showing up, what do you think's going through their mind?
Either I would have to say either tankery, our past bunker bases, or pop.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, pop. I hadn't thought about that. Certainly, our War 81 bunker base definitely got us a lot of
Where
attention.
Was this?
So we were based in Farinac Coast in War 81, specifically in the Spearhead area, and we ended up getting into a storm cannon race with what
UBGE, I believe.
UBGE, that's what it was, and they really gave us a run for our money there, along with 13th and 3rd, who were both in the region.
3SP, yeah.
Oh, sorry, 3SP, not 3rd. My bad. Too many threes. That's the problem. And that was, honestly, some of the most exhilarating gameplay there, and just so much cooperation between like us, 13th, 3SP, and I think we even had like Mafia and a couple other clans coming in to help, like kill spotters and stuff. And I think that really got our name out there in recent times, anyways.
Yeah. So I guess going off of that, what would you say? Or rather, what are your regiments? What am I trying to say here? What's a regiment you like working with or seeing out in the field?
Recently, probably the 13th, to be honest.
Yeah, we've been quite friendly with them ever since War 81, because our bunker took the brunt of the like storm cannon attention there. It meant that they could build up quite nicely, and we obviously ended up working really closely with them since we were in the same region, and we've tried to keep that relationship alive.
13th, that's a French regiment, right?
No, 13th's I don't know what nationality they are, but
I don't know either. I know it's led by Argy, who is, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I've interviewed them yet, or I have, and this is really embarrassing for me. But either way, hey, that's partially why I do this. Is that I gotta keep everything in line.
They're a lovely bunch of lads. I definitely recommend speaking to them if you haven't.
Yeah. So yeah, in your opinion here, and I'll leave this an open question, what's the key to success in Foxhole? And you can either collectively come up with this, or you can each go on how you want to do it. But what is the key to success in Foxhole?
That is a difficult question. Yeah. If I would have to put my own personal thoughts on the keys to success, I would put it on both skill and organization, because you can have skill but not be organized and not capable of face an overwhelmingly organized force, and you can have organization but not the skill to be able to achieve your objectives.
I guess for me, I'd say, especially recently with the wars increasing in length quite so much with the map size changes and everything, is that certainly a real focus going forwards in being able to like avoid burning out. I mean, because every clan has its stories of players that have started playing, been really, really, really active, and then it's all gotten too much, and they've ended up having to leave. And with wars taking like up to a month or more now, it's become more of a problem than ever to make sure that you just like pace yourself, you know.
It's a good attitude
Yeah.
and good communication.
I would
be the
also
best
say between clan coordination, because no clan can push a front alone. Well, maybe for 82DK, but they are the biggest guy. But most of the clans, it would be ideal if they divided the jobs. One clan will provide artillery support, another armor, another infantry, another will build up the backlines, things like that. So I think that's the most important thing to actually win a war, because without it you can't really win, and randoms don't really push that often.
Teamwork is built into the game at the end of the day. And even looking back at War 81, when we did have the great opportunity with those other two clans, I think it was some of the best experiences I've ever had in this game, with the amount achieved. And like both leaderships they were like, you know what, I think that was the best clan coordination I've seen so far. And it was true, it was unbelievable.
I love how we're seeing this from multiple different angles, where I'm seeing success just straight on the battlefield, where you guys are seeing success in like the long-term resolve of the forces involved and the morale, and then another person looks at it from the organization of the clans working together. I like how we're all seeing different ways to succeed, and they're all extremely valid, and all, I believe, are necessary as well.
Yeah. For sure. And surprised how many other regiments' answers line up just with that, but I'm glad I was able to get a full spectrum here too. So then, potentially being repetitive here, but what would you say your regiment's proudest Foxhole moments are? I think that spearhead facing that storm cannon was one of them.
Yes,
Yeah,
that was definitely a big one. However, we do have more. The other one would be the storm cannon base in War, was it 79? Or
72 or 71, was it?
72 or 71.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
We actually have a video on it if you want to look it up on YouTube.
Yeah, sure.
SyWry's channel.
SyWry's, yeah. It blew up, didn't it? It got like 80,000 views.
Yeah.
80,000 views, yes. Roughly around there.
That was a special one.
That was in south of Stone Cradle.
Long Fast, yeah.
Yeah, Long Fast.
Can you quickly summarize that video?
Basically, it was us trying to learn how to do storm cannoning for the first time, because it was our first time using a storm cannon. And yes, I had seen it throughout my life in Foxhole, but I never was able to get one built and one developed. So we were all just trying to figure out how to shoot it and how to range it in, and that's what that video basically is, just trying to range it in and figure out how the power system works and all that.
Yeah, and I'll splice in what I can with that in terms of the videos, at least just some images of it. But is there anywhere on the map your regiment would call home? If you had to pick a place to call, it doesn't necessarily mean that you'll kick anyone else out of it who's a friendly, but rather just like a place that you either emotionally hold dear to all your hearts, or some place that you've just kind of made a homestead as your operations.
I don't know, like we normally try and pick like a place in any given war, but like, I mean, even just going from like the last major war that we took part in War 81, we were in Faranac, and this war we've the complete other side of the map, and we're based out of Great Warden Dam. We try not to like tie ourselves down too much, I wouldn't say.
We've had many homes, many fun memories.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So, talking about Foxhole the game, what's the one thing you could change, add, or remove to Foxhole? You only get one, and you know what? Let's go down the list again, because I think everyone's got some opinions here. But one thing you could change, add, or remove. I'm sorry. We'll start with Illuminutter, but take some time to think.
Asking for one of each, or just one?
Or. So change or add or remove.
Okay. I would have to say I'm going to go with change. As generic as it might sound, I would still again like to see a change to the tech system. Mm-hmm. Again, like I said, generic. A lot of people are not too fond of it. I would like to see a change to the tech system, though I can't for the life of me really figure out how he would change it.
Change in what way?
Yeah. The way the devs at least described the tech system, their goal was to have a tech system which gave the player base choice and the freedom to always do different things in combinations. where you don't really have like one specific best choice. However, it has. I think I do agree. Some people don't, but I think it has gotten better over the years. Though it's not quite there yet. It's like sometimes the way they structure the tech tiers, there's just a obviously better choice, and so even if you might think you could be able to have some variety, often you just don't. Things just kind of always end up being the same tech-wise, or just don't change very much. So
Yeah,
I would like some kind of changes to try and balance things more out. Now, I guess you could argue that maybe as time goes on and you get more vehicles being added, then maybe once you have more options, that they could balance it out more. But I'm not really sure.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of people would agree with that. Popo, what would you say?
I will probably go into really simply. I would add another tank, which is, there are lots of tanks, but I wouldn't add any tank. I would add a Churchill tank, the infantry tank from World War II, because arguably it's the best tank and the sexiest tank in the war, so it needs to be on the Warden side. Definitely.
Yeah. So, like, what it is about it? What is it? What's the defining trait of a Churchill to you?
Mm, it's It's made to support the infantry. It's not made for tank combat or made to push. It's made to support the infantry. It's basically moving sandbag, which IRL, it was pretty I wouldn't say useless, but it didn't really work out well. But I can imagine how could that or something akin to it work in Foxhole.
Would the battle tank probably be the closest thing that we had to that
Mm,
for the Warden side?
yeah, either battle tank or silver hand is probably the closest thing
Sure.
to it.
Shamrock?
Yeah, so well, there's so many things I would wish would be changed in Foxhole, but I think one thing I would love to see added really would be the bringing back of archipelagos, like islands, something we haven't seen properly for a very long time. I'm sure the devs are
True
setting the
isolated
timetable.
islands.
I'd just love to see more variation, because right now at the front lines it's a lot of bridges to break up.
Mm.
You've those kind of maps, and obviously queues. I would love to see, now that they've expanded the map northwards, southwards, obviously for trains by Christmas. Cross your fingers. But I'd love to see maybe east to west expansions. So islands, navies, you could go on. And I think they have a plan for next year, but that's definitely what I'm most excited for.
Squashy?
In one word, towing.
Oh,
I just if we could tow field
Oh.
field artillery and field weapons, it would make my day. It's such a little thing. I know the devs have said that it's quite difficult to implement, but it would be such a life changer for me.
It's a pure technical matter, is my understanding. Would you be
Yeah, yeah.
satisfied with? Because I don't know. I think it's like the problem is the way like a string works in the Unreal Engine. It would just turn into a mess. I don't know. Let's imagine that they figured that out, or rather, would you be satisfied with just being able to say something arbitrary like we can pack up a field gun or we can pack up an artillery piece and we can put it in the truck? I know technically you can do that with the flatbed, but would you do you if you could do that with any regular old truck, would you
I
be
guess my
satisfied with
ideal
that?
would be to be able to use LUVs is the thing, because obviously that's you think about moving artillery around, the first thing you think of is you've got a jeep with a gun on the back of it. Obviously, as you say, that might not be technically possible. Due
But
to the
it's less
engine
so.
restrictions.
Is it more so you just want the image? Because I get that sometimes. Like I just want this to be a
It's a
thing,
bit that,
or is it more
yeah, but
so
also
just
just being able to move field weapons quickly without needing a
okay?
crane and a flatbed.
All right, yeah, no, fair enough.
So a bit of both, to be honest.
Yeah, SyWry?
Oh gosh, I have been around since Farnack was those string of 4 islands that
Yeah,
we were talking about earlier.
I
So
remember too. That was a time.
yes, that was a time. And so my laundry list of things to change are about as long as my service length. But if I would have to choose the top thing, the one thing I want most of all would have to be the most generic thing that I have been saying for upwards of 4 to 5 years now: trains.
There you go. There it is.
Trains.
Someone
Well,
has.
the
Someone
reason,
has to say it.
yeah, the reason I say trains is because I used to be a Logi main. I used to love driving stuff to the front lines, and I used to drive stuff all over the place. I loved making stuff. I loved moving it, and I loved having to defend myself from partisans every now and again. But back then, there were small maps, and doing Logi took like 15 minutes to get to the front, so it didn't really take all that long, like 50 minutes max. But nowadays, it just takes so long to move stuff anywhere on the map. It can take upwards of 30 minutes to an hour just for one trip, and when I'm doing my logistics, I just see so much stuff that needs to be moved to the front, and in an hour, I can only chip away a tiny fraction of that, of how much it needs to be done. Whereas before, I could just like spend an hour doing 4 trips, and I would do a rather decent dent in the logistical needs of the front line. But
Yeah.
now, with things as they are, it just takes too long, and it just spend all my time driving, and I don't really enjoy that too much. I mean, I enjoy driving to a degree because I love driving tanks and I love just driving vehicles from place to place. But when I spend most of my time just driving and that's all I do, I tend to get worn out from it. And so tanks would very much remedy this as a fast way to move stuff to the front line, as well as shortening the driving distances that are needed. So if you had like a train depot deliver stuff to a stockpile, that I could just take from that stockpile to the front line, and it would be far less a chore to do the logistical deliveries, or even to make stuff, because I could just make stuff and throw it in the train, and it would be on the front line pretty soon. So seeing that instant movement or the faster movement of supplies is what I would like to see in the game.
I think now more than ever, with the number of maps we have now, I think now more than ever, trains. The case for trains has been strong. And I don't think it's even a case anymore. I think it's pretty much confirmed. It's been confirmed for over a year.
Yes.
Kind of the open secret
When, not if.
that it is.
Yeah.
Open question here for everyone. Then the great train debate. Pre-established tracks or custom tracks, or rather, players can set their own lines, or is it like roads where they are their own specific or set thing because of map design and whatnot?
See, before they came out with the sandbags and barbed wire, this most recent update, I was very squarely in the it'll just be preset tracks and all. But now with the new tools that they have for this, it just seems like it would be so cool to use that system to be able to put down tracks. I really hope they go down that route with it.
I would like a kind of a mix. So you'd have pre-established like areas where you can build or even repair using the metal beams. But I just see a lot of problems with making your own roads. Essentially, like even if you look in history, you can't just make your railway line to suit your needs. You had to use what was already there in a sense. I think it would tie nicely with the lore. We see a lot of train tracks around the place. So yeah, it's maybe like it's pre-established routes that would make sense, but there's enough of them where you have choice which ones you want to put the effort into building. I think that would be optimal and the most fun.
God, you made me just think of trains as a tech.
No.
Yeah, there's pros and cons to all of it for sure, and we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But moving on, then, kind of the inverse question: what do you appreciate most about Foxhole? And we'll actually start with SyWry here. What do you appreciate most about Foxhole? Yeah.
What do I appreciate most about Foxhole? The organization. The fact that I can get on and work with a group of people, either 5 or 10 people in size, or even 15 or 20, and I can just organize anything really, tanks, artillery, infantry, partisans, and I can just get on and work with this group of people to achieve an objective. And usually when you have that many people organized together, it's pretty successful. So that's what I appreciate the most about Foxhole, is being able to work in a group of people to achieve this objective, and usually be pretty effective at doing it.
Yeah, Squashy?
Yeah, I mean, to echo Sai there, to be honest, yeah, the thing that keeps me coming back to Foxhole is just the community efforts that you can get involved in. There's nothing better than being a part of a big push, and even better if you're in charge of a big push, and being able to just see that physical difference. Even if it is just a game, it doesn't feel like a game when you're busy making ground and all that.
Shamrock?
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Just being the small part of a bigger machine, to be honest, it's just so unique. I think it's the first game that's really pulled it off, especially with logistics. It really does feel like a proper war that's going on, and of course the amazing community and the hysterics you can, and just chaos at the front line just makes it really worthwhile. And yeah, I enjoyed it a lot because of that.
Popo?
For me, definitely it's community and the people and the folks I can play with and go around with. It still kind of stuns me that I can talk with a person from, I don't know, Scotland, Australia, and United States at the same time, and we can discuss the same thing, be it politics, be it school, or I don't know, living in a foreign country. It's absolutely stunning for me to think about that. That I can have basically friends from all around the world, and also the community itself.
Illuminutter?
I'd say for me to add to the organization, what I like most is the flexibility the game gives. The game very much just gives you a massive set of tools and just gives you the freedom to accomplish a very general objective in whatever way you want. You rarely ever feel as though the game is forcing you to play or achieve something in a specific way. And as the other mentioned, the ability to be so flexible leads to very interesting organization, which and the result, things very rarely feel repetitive.
Yeah, some overlapping. Oh, go ahead.
In a while.
Well, what was that? I'm sorry.
I just said someone's not been on a bridge battle in a while.
Okay. yes. Okay, the bridge battles are an exception. That is an exception, but it's a bridge. You can't really approach that too. Well, there's you can see some creativity in breaking a bridge battle. Those can be fun sometimes.
Big rabbit hole.
I think people are pushing the limits on how you can do that. But all that aside, obviously some overlapping answers. But I mean, that's really how y'all feel about it, and it makes sense that a group of about 300 would see some of that macro stuff, some of that organization and community stuff, would hold that dear. No surprise at all. So with that being said, who can people contact, or where can people go if they want to join the Sapphire Sentinels?
Well, for people to contact, they can either contact myself, SyWry, or Squashyhex, or Illuminutter. I believe all three of us are on the Foxhole official Discord. You can also contact Illuminutter. He will post clan recruitment flyers onto the Foxhole official Discord clan recruitment. So if you want to join us, or you want to hear more about us, or just be a part of our Discord, you can head there.
I think we've also got an invite in Warden Unity Hub from memory as well.
Yes, so
yeah,
we have many options. Again, you can contact any one of us, and we will be happy to talk to you about anything.
For sure. Well, once again, from the Sapphire Sentinels, Illuminutter, popoSK, Shamrock, Squashyhex, and SyWry. Gentlemen, congratulations on the resurgence, and good luck finding your lost history. For the Press Corps, I'm Geoffrey Jennings. Good night and good fight.
The Press Corps is a non-profit creative collective of artists, reporters, and players from the MMO video game Foxhole by Siege Camp. Our mission is to engross our audience in and amplify the stories of this unique war ecosystem. The Press Corps was founded in early 2018 by former PlanetSide 2 Radio Free Araxis host Captain in Arms. It is a separate community entity and is in no way representative of Siege Camp. For more information, visit the Press Corps Discord through the link below.